All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of What's What VR. Today we got a special guest with us here. We have Chelsea Borruano with us with the You're Not Alone project. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking some time out to kind of fill us in on what's going on and just out of the gate, jumping right into it. For people who don't know, you started the You're Not Alone project. So you're going to be able to give us what is it, and what are you guys working towards?
Yeah, so the You Aren't Alone Project is a nonprofit organization, and I started it in 2019. So right before the pandemic, we really kicked things off. But our overall goal and mission is really just to build this network of support for mental health and wellness here in Baton Rouge, and really beyond that. Now that we really have started this virtual platform, and it's starting to get, you're able to reach so many more people with different platforms, to make sure that people just really know that they're not alone in what they're going through. We encourage people to talk about their mental health journeys, to tell their stories, so that people who maybe think they're alone in what they're going through think that there's not really hope, think that there's not much that they can do to not feel the way that they do, no matter whether it's, depression, anxiety, or a host of even, more serious mental health issues. There are people out there who are thriving despite having gone through some of those things, or people who are still in the midst of their struggle, but their stories can help other people to recognize that there are options out there, that there are resources, that there's this amazing community of people who are here for you no matter what. So that's kind
That's
of that's kind of what we strive to do.
that's awesome. People, it seems like this is finally coming ahead where people are starting to realize, mental health is a thing.
Mm.
I guess, and even in our own, real world example, we recently moved to in our company, like a new time off, type, where you vacation system. And I was noticing it used to always be, it was kind of like, you had vacation days, you had sick days, you had holidays. We actually now have like mental health days, to where people are getting it to where if you're not physically maybe sick, but you need a break,
Yeah.
to kind of recharge, get some clarity, reset. And so seems like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's not mainstream yet, because not everybody understands it or realizes it, but it seems that's what you guys are doing, trying to not only help people, but I think also get the awareness that mental health is real. It's not just, buck up and keep going. There's more to it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's you're right. I mean, it is becoming a lot more mainstream. We have people, a lot of celebrities talk about it, and so that brings it to the forefront. We have companies that are doing more in order to protect their employees' mental health. We have employees standing up for, their own mental health and being able to openly say to their managers, I cannot handle this right now, and I just, to have those conversations. And so that's what we want to encourage too, is to be more open about that, because it's not something to be ashamed of in any way. Because I mean, just like you said, we all suffer from mental health, or mental health is a spectrum basically. And so there's a really positive place you can be in your mental health, or there's a negative place. It's not good or bad, it's just, where you are in that process. And so having those conversations and being able to sort of look at it in a different way, and then how can we even go beyond that and support people in their mental health journeys, and offering things like y'all are doing for your company, which is amazing.
Oh, we try, and it's just, yeah, we'll see. Well, the jury's out on amazing, but it is something that I think that people do need to acknowledge and realize. And if you're in management, if you're in charge of people, I like the way, you're put in their charge. You're not in charge, but in their charge. And so to listen, to them and realize that it is a real thing. That, hey, I need to just get away from this. It shouldn't reflect negatively on that person by any means. It's just a look. We need a reset here for a second. Otherwise, it's going to turn into that stress, and that's where people get upset. And then you turn around and, well, I can't do this at the office. I can't. It snowballs is what it seems. Would
Oh
happen.
yeah, I mean your productivity overall. I mean, it's gonna at the end of the day, it is gonna help the company, in the long run, to have people take that time that they need to come back refreshed and able to do their job to the best of their ability. So all around, I mean, it's good for everybody.
Yeah, we used to have had another company, and one of the things we noticed, that we had some people that were just not, they were just they seemed stressed out, all the time, and people, just money is always a big problem, a stressor for a lot of people, and so we had, I forget exactly what it was or how much. I think we gave everybody so much cash, and we are like, look, don't go spend it, just put it in your wallet, and just your purse, and just hang on to it.
Mm.
It's not, we were trying to say, and I forgot how we actually did all this, but it was like, we just want you to know that it's there so that if you're in that situation where if it's, an electric bill or the car breaks or you need a tire, it's not going to stop stressing about that kind of stuff. And we could actually see people's, their facial expressions changed as they were walking in the door. And, just, we called it just the kind of walking around, money. It wasn't a major thing for us as a company, to do, but it changed their lives, I think, a little, not major, but it changed the way they were able to get through things and they weren't as stressed. And I think that to me is, a little bit of that mental health where it's, hey, if I'm not worried about how am I going to grab groceries, tomorrow, or how am I going to handle this bill at the end of the week, I can actually focus on the work and be more productive. And then it turns into, well, maybe they've worked their way further up within the company. There's better performance, raises, little things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you brought up a great point that sometimes companies don't consider. Let me just ask, like, what are the stressors? What are the things that matter most? Instead, they're trying to, figure it out on their own. But oftentimes, it's not what you think. It's not that they don't like their job, don't like the work they're doing, or they think they're I don't whatever they're doing isn't important. Oftentimes it can be something like that, like financial security, or any host of issues that maybe just aren't easily identifiable, but having those conversations and kind of opening up that dialogue is really important.
I think I'm sure you've probably seen it. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek and a lot of the stuff that he talks about with he's the guy, the why guy, right? Start with why.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the little bits he talks about is like that there's two different types of managers. One where you've got maybe it's a sales guy and he's not, hitting his numbers. And, one guy runs in and it's like, hey, you've got to get your numbers up. This is what's got to happen. You're not doing it right. This is what's going to have to happen. And then you got the other guy who sits down and go, hey, what's wrong? You've done this, phenomenally for years, but the last 3 months, you're just not, what's wrong? Is there something at home? And the way he does a much better job of bringing the subject up, but it brings the question of, which, boss do you want? And and I think if you've got somebody, you don't want to pry into their personal life, but at the same time, know that, hey, it's okay, to talk and tell me if you've got something going on, maybe we as a company can help. So,
Yep.
So tell me, you're having to do this. This can't be easy, and you can't carry this load all yourself. I'm sure. I think I had a note somewhere. You got some spots to fill if anybody's looking to help, right?
Yes. So that's kind of our big initiative right now. And I do, let me say this, it is kind of me. I started the project. I run a lot of the day-to-day operations of it, but I do have a board of directors who support me as much as they possibly can. But, we're all busy. We all have a lot going on, and especially this amazing group of people, they have a lot on their plates too. So a lot of what I go to them for is more big picture stuff. But what I would love is to be able to do more for the community. We took a little bit of a step back this past year just because, we weren't really able to do a ton of things. We offered a lot of resources when we could, and we did some virtual things, but now we really want to, once we are able to safely move into being in person again, we want to get back into more in-person stuff or a mix of in-person and virtual things, but I can't do it alone. So I would love just this amazing group of volunteers is my goal to build sort of teams where people are able to be a part of the organization, whether that's serving on the board of directors, which we actually do have some open positions. There's an open treasury position, and then there's an open interim secretary. So our secretary is taking over as president. And until we find somebody to take over the president role, we do need a secretary in place too. So if anyone has experience with that, we are trying to build our board of directors. There's also just the general board and the advisory board. But below that, we want to build different teams. So a marketing team, they're focused on like social media, web. and then some of the production stuff like the podcasts that I do and some video stuff. So the idea is that we build this resource base on both the web and through our social media, so that even if we're not doing face-to-face events or virtual events or anything like that, we're still offering these tools for the community to be able to, see and share and offer them just a source of, whatever they're looking for at the time. And so to build a team that's able to support me in building sort of that content and creating some of those resources so that we're always offering everything that we can to our audience who's looking, because the idea is for them to, for somebody who's going through something, no matter what it may be, if you're, going online and you're having to click a button and then hit something else and then go somewhere else to try and find, just an answer to whatever it is that is going on in your life, that's going to just lead you down this terrible rabbit hole of losing hope every time you hit another button. And so the idea is to build out a database or, this resource bank where somebody can think of, when they're going through something, oh, I know the You Are Online project is available to me for resources. So let me go to their website. Hope there might be a blog post about it. There might be a link to another community group that supports that particular issue. And so as much as we can build up that database so that people can go to us for a resource to connect them to where they need to be without having to click through 100 buttons, that's what we're trying to do. And so then our social media is a tool for sharing those things and then sharing other content that other people can also share for their networks to encourage support. So that's the social media team. And anybody who is interested in marketing, social media, mental health, we want to kind of build out a team of about 5 people and have some like a team lead where I can hand that over to them and they just take the ball and roll with it. And obviously they'll collaborate with the other teams. And there's programs and events. So we want to get back and doing programming, but I need boots on the ground to be able to get with the people in the community that can help run these programs. And it's not something that I can necessarily do on my own. And so people who are really passionate about putting on events or offering things to the community, reaching out to different organizations that are like-minded to ours so that we can partner with other organizations to offer as many whether it's meetups or events or things like that as possible. And then lastly is just our fundraising and partnership, sponsorship, grant writing, things like that. So a team that's really going to help build the future of the organization so that we can sustain it over time.
It's a bunch. You got a lot going.
Yes. So I need a team. Guys. So anybody who's interested, reach out on the website and we can't do it alone. And, it's a new organization and in a time when we weren't able to grow in the way we thought we would in year one, because we were reacting to the needs of the community, whether that be COVID or just the amount of like social unrest that we've seen. We were trying to really be reactive in that, as soon as another issue came up, which is the amount of issues that we're dealing with as a world right now are insane. We wanted to be able to, quickly offer resources, but now it's time to be proactive and we really need a team to help do that.
Yeah, this whole COVID has really just knocked, everybody. And to go back to, Simon, one of the things that I was listening, he talks about is a lot of the stress that people get under, and he talks about some of the military is when you get into someone's head, like they'll take these, special forces guys and they'll like wake them up in the middle of the night and say, we're going to run and we're just going to run. But they don't tell you for how long, they don't tell you how far. You just, the anxiety of not knowing when this is going to be over is where a lot of this, kind of PTSD can come from. They talk about, and that's the stress, that's the, like, well, and I talked about it earlier, in the middle of COVID, that it's very similar to where we're at right now. Like nobody knows when is this going to be over. If someone said, look, we're going to be done by October 15th, it's like, great, I can get there. I can see the end, but we don't know that. We don't know what, every day it's a little bit different, moving targets. And I think that's what's mentally, exhausting everyone at this point, where they're saying, just give me a day or give me something consistent that I can count on. I watch my daughter sit and play cards over FaceTime, with friends. It's like, this is crazy. They need to be able to get together. It takes a toll on everybody. So.
Yeah, it's uncertain, it's unpredictable, and it's those type of things that even if you're not thinking about it and like recognizing that you're thinking about it, it's always in the back of your head, and it's going to affect your day-to-day life. And we're going to see that for a long time, and especially with kind of like with the kids, like there's no telling how growing up in this sort of period of uncertainty is going to affect them in the long run. And so it's those type of things that we definitely need to keep in mind. But keeping hope too. I mean, it was easy to keep hope when we thought it was just 3 months, or that we would be fine by summer, or whatever it is. But I think keeping some sort of hope that things are gonna, that if they aren't gonna go back to whatever the normal was before, we're gonna be able to adapt and be better for it, hopefully.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the show the other day. You said adapt. It's like I tell everybody, adapt and pivot. You're supposed to take a drink, every time you hear somebody say it.
Yeah, pivot is the buzzword.
So, no, I think it'd be good if we've got anybody out there that can, help. I talked with another business owner. We were talking about how, maybe, and it's some of these guys that, maybe can fill a board seat, for you, but then also take that down and trickle down to maybe if it's important in your company. This, what we were talking about with the other buddy of mine was, maybe like getting involved with organizations and saying, hey, I can sit on a board seat and my employees like this as well, so I'm going to have them be able to help. So, hey, maybe our social media team can jump in and help, on some stuff, and we can dedicate some of our time, some percentage of our time, during the week that we can all work on, this one project. So maybe, that's an idea for some people. We thought it was a kind of neat way to do it.
I like
get
that
everybody
a lot.
involved.
I like that a lot. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build this by building the community. We're also want to bring in, local businesses and, the people doing the work every day. We want everyone to see like a community. You have to have a community, whether it's in person or virtually. Like you need a community of people to survive,
And I think, the percentage of time, I don't know how many people know, but like Google, for instance, will allow, most of the teams get like 20% of their week, like, or a day out of the week to work on whatever they want. Like that's how we got Gmail, as a product. It was,
cool.
A group of the guys who was just like, hey, we can make a better email system. And so they encouraged them to work on projects and, donate time and different things. But, maybe somebody can do something like that. Like, hey, we're going to jump in, we're going to help here. And we're going to put, 5%, 10%, some percentage of your time. And I think when you tell employees that, like, hey, you're okay, you can, be working on this project. We're going to, as a company, we're going to support them, and we're going to dedicate 10% of our week to, helping, here. And everybody does their own little spots here and there. It's not like everybody shuts it down, but people feel good about it and they can help, because there's so many, God, get up in the morning, running kids to school, getting them home, homework and practices, and trying to volunteer. Sometimes I think our nonprofits and groups like yours need the support of our community, but we can't just say, hey, go volunteer another hour. It's going to take some business owners, some people in charge to say, hey, you can do some of this on my time. And that's the way that they can help. Maybe it's not that you can't take a board seat, but hey, you could say, you know what? I got a graphics department, we'll let them, spend 10% of their time working on the You're Not Alone project. And that's how we can help you. So maybe somebody gets that idea.
No, that's a great point. Because I think even as I ask for volunteers, it's like, I know y'all are busy, please, please, please. But it's like, yeah, we should be able to easily fit these types of things into, our day-to-day work if it, fits with the company culture. That's what culture is. It's about finding that time to be able to have your employees do something meaningful too. I mean, obviously they care about the business. They're going to buy into, what you're doing, but it's going to mean even more if you're able to do things like that. And within that time where you already are scheduled and you're not having to think, how can I possibly do one more thing? Because I know for me, I am always overwhelmed, and taking on something else as much as I want to, sometimes it's just not a possibility. But to make it a possibility, yeah, that would be really cool.
That's maybe we can help on some of that stuff as well. kind of put our money where our mouth is. So,
Yeah, I mean,
well, look,
we are, yeah, I love flexibility and making things work and kind of thinking outside the box. So, and I'm happy to work with teams to be able to put programs together like that. So I love that idea.
yeah. Well, look, I always say everybody's got more important things to do than talk to me. But I appreciate, the time, and hopefully we can help. And then, like I said, we'll have to stay in touch and figure out what we can do to help. So,
Yeah, I love it. No, I appreciate what y'all are doing with this too, because I think there's so much that we just don't know is happening, around Baton Rouge and around us, and what we can do to get involved with different things. And so even like the local businesses and stuff. And I know a lot of people have been struggling, whether you're the business owner or the person trying to do the job every day. And so talking and having the chance to learn more about what other people are doing in the community is important.
I say it probably at least every fifth show, if not more. I used to have hanging in my office a sign, and I think I got to go back and find it and look at it. I think it was like Bob Parsons. I'm probably giving him credit. Maybe it wasn't him. The guy started GoDaddy, but the sign says, "No one knows true fear like an entrepreneur the night before payroll."
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, and I think that rings so true for some of our business owners.
Yeah.
I also say on all the shows, I think, our medical staff, our doctors, our nurses, everybody during this is, amazing, heroes in what they're doing. But business owners, I believe, are heroes too. They're having to make decisions. If you're the big, the big Walmarts of the world and the Amazons, you'll figure this out. You can wade through this. You'll find, something. But it's the guy who's got the restaurant down the street, or the small, CPA firm, or the small law firm. And those are the guys that it's like, hey, I don't have customers. I got a rent to pay. Do I keep my employees? Do we save the money for ourselves, to keep going? So it's tough decisions. So, but I'll kind of, end this or wrap it, to tell everybody, getting involved, yes, you can help. Like getting involved with, your project here, it helps, but it's also going to expand your network. You're going to find somebody else. And I do it a lot of times, and it's not why you go and do these things, but it's a byproduct. It's, you end up meeting someone else that's volunteering, and they go, hey, I could use your services. And we both are like-minded. You volunteered and I volunteered. Next thing you know, you've made a connection, and so
that's how I built my board, was people that I've experienced other like volunteer type projects with, or have been involved with other projects with. I mean, yeah, expanding that network can be a really powerful thing, and enables you to do a lot more than you can do if you're kind of just staying in your lane.
Yep. Well, look, I appreciate it very much. Love to have you back. Kind of get an update. Maybe we can call some people out. We'll share this and tag some people and say, hey, I'm calling you out. You need to go help. So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.